So what were we doing last time? We were talking about motion in one dimension. Yes, we were talking about motion in one dimension. Collisions की बात हो रही थी. Question with quadratic and its conditions. Yes. So we will do क्या बोल रहे हो वेदांत? डाउट क्लास में क्लैरिफाई करना ना. आद्विक क्या बोल रहा है? पोर्शन फॉर द पार्ट टेस्ट वाज ओनली वेक्टर्स. तो ठीक है ना, अच्छी बात. Okay, so I want to do one question before we move on to the next part of the chapter, and the question is, I think the question is there in your either exercise में है या ट्यूटोरियल में कहीं तो है ये. कल लास्ट डेट है सबमिट करने का, प्लीज रिमेंबर. सो द क्वेश्चन दैट आई हैव इज, फिर कैमरा टच किया है क्या? फिर छोटा हो गया स्क्रीन. Question 1. The x coordinate of a particle is given by x is equal to t square minus 5t plus 6. ठीक है. Find the distance traveled in 10 seconds. सबमिशन ऑफ नोट्स फ्राइडे को. क्या नहीं समझ में आ रहा है यार? सबमिशन ऑफ नोट्स दैट यू मेक ऑन मंडे, वेडनेसडे एंड फ्राइडे विल बी सबमिटेड ऑन फ्राइडे. Lecture 3 tutorial 1 will be submitted on Tuesday. Lecture 3 tutorial 1 level 2 will be submitted on Saturday. ये सब आपके उस पे है, क्या बोलते हैं, ऐप पे है. Okay, 56 is the incorrect answer. 56 is wrong answer. नहीं, सतगुण अनम्यूट नहीं कर सकते हो, मतलब कर सकते हो, बाकी लोग को सुनाई देगा, मेरे को नहीं सुनाई देगा. पानी कहाँ है? आंसर. गलत आंसर. गलत आंसर. गलत आंसर है 50, 56, 62, 15. गलत आंसर. ये सब गलत. 38. 0 गलत आंसर है, 0 तो मैं लिखूंगा. ट्रैवल्ड इन 10 सेकेंड्स निकालना है. डिस्टेंस ट्रैवल्ड इन 10 सेकेंड्स. गलत आंसर. हाँ पाला, जो आपने लिखा है दैट इज करेक्ट. हाँ सतगुण बिल्कुल सही. यस. टू 25 रॉन्ग है, 30 रॉन्ग है, 20 रॉन्ग है, 25 रॉन्ग है. नहीं, 150 भी रॉन्ग है. हाँ सतगुण लिखा सही है, लेकिन आंसर गलत. भी wrong. How do you think about that? Can't be predicted. गलत. 58 गलत है. How do you think about this? Yes, that is the good. That is a correct question. So how do you solve a question like this? I will show you at least 3 methods to solve this question. Okay. The last method that we'll discuss will be the fastest and the most efficient. Okay. नहीं, गलत आंसर. मैं बता रहा हूँ. I will tell you the correct answer. Okay. So please try and follow the logic. These are all the incorrect answers. इसमें और भी हैं 150 और 250 एंड और भी हैं आंसर्स. 60 गलत आंसर है. So there are many ways of doing this question, right? Now this is the first time that you are coming up. अभी तक क्या हो रहा था? What was happening up till now? Up till now, the questions that we have discussed or the questions that are given in your tutorials, level 1, level 2 nahi, are simply based on the equations of motion. Okay. So for example, there was a question where you had to find the average velocity. I hope everybody did that. Average velocity, a particle travels distance d, then 2d, then 3d, and then you have to find the average velocity. And it is given that the particle has some constant acceleration for the first part, zero acceleration for the second part, and constant deceleration for the third part. ये सबने किया था ना, I hope. So the way to do that is say that look, for the first part, all I know is that S is equal to D, right? I will assume that A is equal to A, and then I have been given that U is equal to 0. So two pieces of information are given. U is equal to 0 and S is equal to D, right? ये सबको क्लियर है ना मैं कौन सा क्वेश्चन डिस्कस कर रहा हूँ? मैं ये वाला अभी नहीं कर रहा हूँ. I am discussing the question, I think question number 7 था, 8 था, कौन सा था उसमें PDF में. A particle travels a distance D, then 2D, then 3D. Example 5. Example 5 या 7 ये क्या है? दोनों दो आंसर कैसे हो सकते? Example 7, 77, 7. तो this is question number 7, example 7. मेरे को ये मालूम है फर्स्ट पार्ट के लिए, राइट? ऑफ कोर्स दिस क्वांटिटी इज अज्यूम्ड, राइट? आई हैव अज्यूम्ड दिस क्वांटिटी. So for the first part then, I will like to find the time. So t की वैल्यू मैं कहाँ से निकालूँ? S is equal to ut plus half at square. S is equal to ut plus half at square. So d is equal to 0 plus half at square. So t is equal to root of 2d upon a. Okay. This is the time of travel of the first part. And then we have the final velocity as S is equal to, V is equal to U plus AT. U plus AT. So this will be 0 plus root of 2AD. Okay, because A into T would be root of 2d by a into a, root a cancel हो जाएगा, and we'll get root of 2ad. For the second part, हमें क्या क्या मालूम है? U is equal to root of 2ad, S is equal to plus 2d, and A is equal to 0. अब जैसे ही a इज इक्वल टू 0 आया, ओके, जैसे ही a इज इक्वल टू 0 आया, इसका मतलब जो टाइम होएगा दैट विल सिंपली बी इक्वल टू डिस्टेंस अपॉन स्पीड. सो दिस विल बी इक्वल टू डिस्टेंस अपॉन स्पीड, रूट ऑफ 2ad. And if I cancel out everything, I am going to get root of exactly this, 2d by a. Okay, because I can write, remember 2 as root 2 into root 2, I can write d as root d into root d. तो root 2 cancel हो जाएगा, root d cancel हो जाएगा, and I'll end up with this. For the third part, we know that u is equal to plus root 2ad. A, I don't know what it is. S is equal to plus 3d. Right, now we need to find the time. Also, I know that v is equal to 0. So I need to find the third part, right? So how do I do this? कोई ऐसा फॉर्मूला जिसमें a नहीं आता हो और t आता हो? You remember? S is equal to u plus v over 2 into t. So S is equal to 3d is equal to u root of 2ad plus v by 2 into t. So t is equal to 6d by root of 2AD, and this will be equal to 3 times root of 2D by A. Okay, this will be equal to 3 times root of 2D by A. अब इतनी मेहनत मैंने करी क्यों? Because I remember that in the question we had to find average velocity, and average velocity is total displacement over total time taken. So in this case the displacement is 6d I cap. Okay, you can choose any other way to tell me the direction, you don't have to use I cap, I am using I cap. 6d, d चला पहले, फिर 2d चला और फिर 3d चला, so total displacement is, and the total time taken is t1 plus t2 plus t3. So this is equal to root 2d by a plus root 2d by a, right, plus 3 root 2d by a, right? So I just write this here, this plus this plus this कितना आएगा? 5 नहीं कितना? 2d 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 हाँ 5 root of 2d by a. Right? हाँ. So now what I can do is I can write this as, so यहाँ पे थोड़ी सी प्रॉब्लम है. प्रॉब्लम क्या है कि मेरे आंसर में ये a नहीं आना चाहिए. So a should not be there. Right? So how do I get rid of this a? Can anybody tell me? a कैसे गायब करेंगे यहाँ से? A is equal to v minus u upon t. Well, v भी हमारा a के टर्म्स में है ना? हाँ, that is not going to help. How do I get rid of this a from here? बताओ भाई, किसी ने तो वर्कआउट किया होगा ना? किसी ने नहीं किया ये तो होमवर्क में था ना. होमवर्क ये तो सैटरडे को, लास्ट सैटरडे को सबमिट हो चुका है ना. व्हाट्सएप पे भेजा है, अभी चेक करता हूँ थोड़ी देर में. ए को क्यों एलिमिनेट करना है? ए हमें दिया नहीं है ना, या दिया था? आई डोंट थिंक ए दिया था. Was a given in the question? I don't think so. अच्छा, ओ सॉरी, रेशियो निकालना. हाँ, सॉरी. हाँ, so we have to find the ratio of average speed over the maximum speed. Okay, right. So ठीक है. So average speed would be this, and this would be equal to कितना आएगा ये? 3/5 okay into root of 2AD. This will be the average speed. ओके हाँ, एंड मैक्सिमम स्पीड v max का मैग्नीट्यूड ये रहा, v इज दिस √280. ओके आई एम सॉरी, थोड़ा नीचे चला गया ना. सो द रेशियो, इसको लेफ्ट में कर, हाँ. सो द रेशियो विल बी इक्वल टू 3/5. मेरे को लगा कि केवल वो निकालना था, एवरेज स्पीड ही निकालना था. रेशियो ऑफ एवरेज स्पीड ओवर मैक्सिमम स्पीड. द आंसर इज 3/5. हाउ डिड यू गेट एवरेज स्पीड? एवरेज स्पीड इज distance upon time. Distance and displacement in this case have the same value because the particle is traveling in a straight line. जब भी कोई पार्टिकल स्ट्रेट लाइन में चलता है, वापस नहीं आता, स्ट्रेट लाइन में चलते जाता है, तो उसका डिस्टेंस ट्रैवल्ड और डिस्प्लेसमेंट का मैग्नीट्यूड सेम होता है. जब हमने डेफिनेशंस पढ़ी थी तो वी गॉट दैट. एंड इफ डिस्टेंस इज सेम एज डिस्प्लेसमेंट, then to find average speed you can use displacement over time or you can use distance over time. It will give you the same answer. हाँ, 3:5. Can you please explain the other question? कौन सा other question? 3:5 आएगा. √2 है यहाँ पे एक. मैक्सिमम स्पीड एक्सेलरेटेड है, कांस्टेंट वेलोसिटी पे है, डी एक्सेलरेटेड. फर्स्ट पार्ट में स्पीड बढ़ती जाएगी बढ़ती जाएगी बढ़ती जाएगी until it reaches this value, and then it will maintain its velocity at this value, and then it will decrease to 0. So what is the maximum velocity? पहले बढ़ रहा है स्पीड, 0 से बढ़ रहा है, reaches this value, remains constant, and then decreases to 0. So what is the maximum velocity? हाँ बिना अभी बता रहा हूँ. √280. Okay, chalo. Now let's solve this. So what I was trying to tell you is that up till now the questions that you have seen, or if you have attempted tutorial 1 level 1, questions that you will see will be directly based on the equations of motion. The difference between class 10th and class 11th, I have already told you, is that although the equations they remain the same, you will be working with quantities which are assumed quantities. You must get used to this. And in your final answer, this assumed quantity must sort of disappear, must not be there in your answer. So here acceleration is assumed. I use s is equal to ut plus half at square. I use v is equal to u plus at. For the second part of the motion, I use time is equal to distance upon speed. For the third part, I use s is equal to u plus v by 2 into t. So all the questions that are there in front of you at this moment are based exclusively on the equations of motion that you have already seen in class 10th. So you have to practice. If you don't practice, then there will be problems. Okay, you have to practice. That is the most important thing. When you practice, you will figure out how to apply, when to apply these equations of motion, and what quantities to assume. Okay. You will figure it out. Your brain will get used to the fact that we are going to assume certain values and we are going to use these equations of motion. Now, there is a separate class of problems in one-dimensional motion, later on two-dimensional motion as well, where the equations of motion are not going to be used, where the definitions are going to be used which we discussed when we were starting with kinematics. That means that we are going to talk about V is equal to dx by dt. We are going to talk about A is equal to dV by dt. Okay? And to check whether you can apply equations of motion or not, this is actually very simple. All you have to do is differentiate it twice, and that gives you the acceleration. And if you differentiate this twice and you get a number, then you can use the equations of motion. Right? That was the second method in any case that I was trying to tell you. So if you differentiate this twice, you get d2x by dt square, or the acceleration, and you get that equal to 2. Therefore, you can use the equations of motion here. But first, I am going to solve this without using the equations of motion, which I want you to learn. And then we are going to solve it using the equations of motion. Okay? And the third method, which I told you will be the fastest, I will discuss, I think, next class or next to next class, जब हम graphs पे आएंगे. Right? So graphs are apparently very, very useful when talking about motion, especially one-dimensional constant acceleration problems. In fact, ये जितनी problems हैं, we will solve them again using graphs. And most of the cases, not all, but most of the cases, you will find that things become easier. Okay, so please write this down, and I will just get the board cleaned. Okay. भी नहीं. नहीं 15 नहीं है. व्हाट्सएप देखा नहीं है मैंने. नहीं अभी ना बोला ना 15 नहीं है. फिजिक्स में अभ्यास सेशन हो रहा है ना, तो जो भी डाउट्स हैं, जो भी ये होमवर्क में प्रॉब्लम आ रही है, I have to ask. बता रहा हूँ वेदांत, रुक जाना, अभी बता रहा हूँ. आद्विक तो सो गया था क्या? चेंज कर इसमें. अच्छा, हाँ, वो देखना ज़ीरो से वेलोसिटी बढ़ रही है ना. फर्स्ट पार्ट में वेलोसिटी ज़ीरो से इंक्रीज हुई और उसके बाद से कांस्टेंट रही और फिर डिक्रीज हुई. तो मैक्सिमम क्या होएगा? व्हाट विल बी द मैक्सिमम वेलोसिटी? समझ में आया अद्वैक? देखो, x इज इक्वल टू टी स्क्वायर माइनस 5t प्लस 6. अद्वैक समझ में आया कि नहीं? फिर से तेरा नेट गया. Okay, good. Chalo, everybody please now focus here. So like I said, I will tell you 3 methods to solve this question. Okay? First method is without using the equations of motion. Second method is using the equations of motion. And the third method will be using graphs, which we will discuss in the next to next class. Okay? Because we have to do motion under gravity first and then we'll do graphs. So x is equal to t square minus 5t plus 6. This is very, very important. So if I know the position vector of a particle as a function of time, okay, then I have every knowledge about this particle. Because you can see from here, you can ask me where is the particle at t is equal to 10, and I can give you the answer. It is at x is equal to 56. Where is the particle at t is equal to 0? I can tell you the answer. It is at x is equal to 6. In fact, you have worked this out yourself. And then you said, अच्छा ठीक है, x is equal to 0 पे अगर ये 6 पे था और x is equal t is equal to 0 पे, सॉरी, अगर ये 0 पे दिमाग का दही हो गया. t is equal to 0 पे अगर ये x equal to 6 मीटर्स पे था और t is equal to 10 पे अगर ये 56 meters पे है, what you did was that you said, okay fine, let me measure the distance traveled, and that's it. You said the answer is 50. But the moment you do this, remember what you are doing. You are saying that I will look at the position of the particle at t is equal to 0, comes out to be x equal to 6 meters, and then I will close my eyes and I will open my eyes again when t is equal to 10, and then I will see where the particle is, and I notice that it is at x equal to 56 meters, and therefore the distance traveled must be 50 meters, right? But that is incorrect. The displacement in the first 10 seconds is 50 I cap meters. That would be absolutely correct. But I have not asked for the displacement, I have asked for distance. Okay. So using this equation, if you are feeding values of time and getting values of x, okay, then if you are feeding only two values of time and getting only two values of x, you are looking at the overall picture. You are not looking at the minute picture. You are not looking at each and every moment that the particle is moving. And since you know x as a function of time, you have the liberty to do so. You have the freedom to do so. You have the freedom to look at the overall motion, and you have the freedom to look at the minute details about the motion. So when you are feeding it, हाँ, very good. अर्नव ने बहुत सही बोला. I think सद्गुण ने पहले बोला था कि at t is equal to 2 and t is equal to 3, the particle is located at x is equal to 0, right? इसका क्या significance है, इस पे अभी हम आते हैं. We'll come to that. But first I want to tell you the significance of this equation or this equation. So if you ask me where the particle was at t is equal to 10, I can tell you. If you ask me where the particle was at t is equal to 0, I can tell you. If you ask me where the particle was in 10,000 BC, I can tell you. And if you ask me where the particle will be in 10,000 AD, I can tell you. So if I knew the position vector of each and every particle in the universe, okay, if I knew the position vector as a function of time for each and every particle of the universe, I would know everything about the universe. I would know the history, I would know what has happened, and I would know the future. I would know what is going to happen. Okay? In fact, people are building huge computers just so they can predict the motion of multiple particles which exist in a system. वो भी कैसे करते हैं, वहाँ पे भी हम पहुँचेंगे eventually, right? But right now, what you have to understand is that if x as a function of time or y as a function of time or z as a function of time is given to you for a particle, then you know everything about the particle. There is nothing that you don't know. The only thing is that if you don't ask the correct questions from this equation, then it is not going to give you the answer. So, if I want to find the distance traveled in the first 10 seconds, and you ask this guy कि t is equal to 10 पे particle कहाँ था, t is equal to 0 पे particle कहाँ था, तो you are going to end up with displacement and you are not going to end up with distance. Okay? So what should I do? Sadgun पूछ रहा है और वेदांत भी पूछ रहा है, do we have to find x at every second and add? Okay, नहीं, no. That would be not advisable, because अगर मैंने t is equal to 100 पूछ लिया तो आप केवल ऐड ही करते रह जाओगे, right? We have to be fast as well. But just to start with, let's see. So at t is equal to 0, the x coordinate of the particle is plus 6. T is equal to 1, the x coordinate of the particle is how much? Now very good, yes, that is what we will be doing, yes. Palash, that is the second method I will show you. At t is equal to 1, the particle is at x is equal to plus 2. At t is equal to 2, the particle is at x is equal to 0. At t is equal to 3, the particle is at x is equal to 0, and that should be because 2 and 3 are the roots of this equation. At t is equal to 4, the particle is at t is equal to 4, the particle is at 2 again, plus 2. At t is equal to 5, particle is at t is equal to 5, the particle is at, again back to its original position. At t is equal to 10, particle is at ठीक है, okay. We cannot directly add x because values from which we have calculated is from, हाँ बिल्कुल सही, हाँ ऐड नहीं कर सकते हैं, ये x ऐड करने का मतलब ही नहीं है ना. आज सुबह मैं घर पे था, आज मैं यहाँ हूँ इंस्टीट्यूट में अभी, तो आप बोलो अच्छा मेरे घर से आपका डिस्टेंस, आपके घर का डिस्टेंस 10 किलोमीटर है, इंस्टीट्यूट का डिस्टेंस 8 किलोमीटर है, तो you were in the morning 10 kilometers from me and now you are 8 kilometers from me and therefore distance traveled by you is 18 kilometers. ऐसे नहीं. हाँ ठीक है, हाँ if you say कि हाँ 10 minus 8 2, that will make sense, but we are not going into that. What I am trying to explain to you is that when you look at the picture, and you can look at this picture for any function that I give, okay, you can do this for any function that I give. Okay. There is something very weird is happening. The weird thing happening is here. So what I want to do is, I want to quickly sort of plot the motion of the particle on the x-axis. Y-axis ये रहा, y-axis का कोई रोल नहीं है यहाँ पे. So the particle is going to start from this point, okay. Here is the particle at t is equal to 0, and here it is again at t is equal to 5, and the particle is here at t is equal to 1, and the particle is here again at t is equal to 4, right. So the particle moves like this, यहाँ से 6 से 2 से 0, 6 से 2 से 0, t is equal to 2 पे यहाँ पे है पार्टिकल और t is equal to 3 पे भी यही है पार्टिकल. Very good Arnav, yes, that is a correct answer. बहुत बढ़िया बच्चा, very good. So the particle moves like this, comes here. So there are two possibilities now. Okay, looking at this picture, there are two possibilities. Possibility number 1, कि ये पार्टिकल मूव करते आया ओरिजिन पे आया और उसके बाद वो रुक गया. वो जैसे ट्रेन स्टेशन पे रुकती है, थोड़ी देर रुक गया, चाय वाय पिया, और फिर t is equal to 3 पे फिर से चलना शुरू किया. That is one possibility. The other possibility is that the particle comes like this, keeps on moving, goes beyond the origin and then comes back like this. Which do you think is the possibility? कि वो ट्रेन की तरह रुक जाएगा x equal to 0 पे 1 सेकेंड के लिए, या it will go beyond the origin and then return. very good, yes. Since x is a function of time, therefore for every different value of time, the value of x is different. Maybe same, but the value of x will be different for time t is equal to 2 and time t is equal to 2.1. The value of x will be different for time t is equal to 2 and t is equal to 2.1. So 2.1 अगर मैं यहाँ feed करूँगा, I am not going to get a 0. Therefore, I conclude that the particle will go beyond the origin and then return back. But up to which point will it go? और इसके बाद तो मेरे ख्याल से चलता ही जाएगा ऐसे ही. Up to which point will it go? कहाँ तक जाएगा? That is what we have to figure out. Infinity तक जाएगा, मतलब एक सेकेंड में वो infinity पे गया और फिर वापस आ गया. That seems थोड़ा सा गड़बड़. T is equal to 2.5. इसका मतलब नहीं समझ में आया मेरे को. 2.5 का क्या मतलब है? 2.5 का क्या मतलब है? टेंड्स टू इन्फिनिटी. नहीं बच्चा, ऐसे थोड़ी ना होएगा. तो t की कौन सी वैल्यू आप रखोगे तो उसमें माइनस इन्फिनिटी आने जा रहा है, माइनस 10,000 आने जा रहा है. At t is equal to 2.5, it will stop. Very good. Yes. Yes. How do I know? What is this point? What is so special about this point? Okay. What is so special about this point? Makes a U-turn. So what is so special? Vertex है. Equidistance from 2 and 3. देखो, इस point की speciality क्या है? Just before, okay, the motion of the particle was like this because it was reaching the point. And just after, motion of the particle is like this because just after it is going to be moving like this, right? Very good. Yes, yes, yes. So, if you find that the velocity direction is changing, therefore, direction of velocity is changing. This implies that at this point v is equal to 0. अगर वन डायमेंशनल मोशन हो रहा है, अगर वन डायमेंशनल मोशन हो रहा है, then if you find that the direction of velocity is changing at a particular point, then you can be sure that at this point velocity is 0. Why? Because you remember I told you that A is equal to dv by dt. So in time dt, the change in velocity can only be minute, cannot be huge. It can be huge, but वो special cases हैं where some accident is happening or some sudden stoppage is happening. Then in a very small time velocity changes by a huge amount, and that requires a huge force because acceleration is huge. However, dv cannot be possible. Dv cannot be a number and dt equal to 0. That is not possible. That means velocity cannot change instantaneously. अगर dt 0 हो गया and dv is not equal to 0, that means there has been a velocity change, and dt is equal to 0, that means acceleration is infinite and the force required is infinite. That is simply not possible. Okay, and if you do that, then you start getting weird results like वो bird वाला जो question था जिसमें बर्ड के पास इनफाइनाइट एक्सेलरेशन है फॉर मल्टीपल टाइम्स. So the direction of velocity, if it is changing for one dimensional motion, I don't mean velocity change like ऐसे जा रहा है फिर ऐसे हो गया ना, I mean ऐसे जा रहा है और फिर ऐसे हो गया. Then at the point of change, okay, at the point of change the velocity will be 0. So the pen goes up, the pen comes down, pen goes up, pen comes down. At the topmost point, the velocity of the pen must be 0, because just before the pen was going up and just after the pen is coming down. So the velocity at the topmost point must be 0. Okay, this is something that you have to understand. Please write this down clearly in your notebook, highlight it, mark it. अगर आपको दिखाई देता है वन डायमेंशनल मोशन में कि वेलोसिटी की डायरेक्शन चेंज हुई है, देन एट दैट पॉइंट ऑफ चेंज ऑफ डायरेक्शन द वेलोसिटी मस्ट बी 0. ओके, सो देयरफॉर हियर एट दिस एक्सट्रीम पॉइंट velocity must be 0. Okay, but what is the velocity of this particle? Can I find the velocity of this particle? Well, I have been saying that if I know this equation, I know everything about the particle. Therefore, yes, I do know the velocity of the particle, and to get the velocity of the particle, all I have to do is find dx by dt. This is the velocity of the particle, and this is equal to 2t minus 5 as promised. फिजिक्स में जो डिफरेंशिएशन आएगा वो निहायती इजी होएगा, इंटीग्रेशन आएगा वो निहायती इजी होएगा. ऐसा ही डिफरेंशिएशन आने वाला है. ओके, इससे ज़्यादा नहीं आने वाला. हाँ, एक आध क्वेश्चन में मैं ज़बरदस्ती के टफ क्वेश्चन दूंगा जिसमें डिफरेंशिएशन थोड़ा सा मुश्किल हो जाएगा, बट this is the main fear. Okay, so this is the velocity. So if this is the velocity, now I can ask for this particular guy, I can ask when is v equal to 0. Okay, I can ask when is v equal to 0, and this is very easy. 2t minus 5 is the velocity of the particle, and it is 0 exactly at one point, and it is 0 at t is equal to 2.5 seconds. Okay, in fact, if you see, I have left a space यहाँ पे deliberately, because I wanted you to answer that what is the location of the particle at t is equal to 2.5. Please put t is equal to 2.5 here, and tell me the value of x. Please put, नहीं आकांक्षा थोड़ा सा गलती किया है, देखो. अच्छा, 2.5 इसका आंसर दे रही है. हाँ, सही है. अब मेरे को x की वैल्यू बताओ आकांक्षा. हाँ अभिनव, बिल्कुल सही है. हाँ, सद्गुण का भी आंसर सही है, अभिनव का भी आंसर सही. फाइनल आंसर. हाँ, वेरी गुड. यस यस यस. All you have to do is put 2.5 in that equation. हाँ बिल्कुल सही सद्गुण. मैं हाँ वही तो बोल रहा हूँ, तेरा आंसर सही है भाई. हाँ, so x is equal to minus 0.25. Minus 0.25. Okay? So if this has a coordinate of minus 0.25, okay, then the distance traveled, let's say that this point is x is equal to 56, then the distance traveled must be this distance plus this distance. Okay? So distance traveled must be equal to 6. क्यों भाई 6 क्यों? क्योंकि यहाँ पे x is equal to 6 है, राइट? और यहाँ पे x is equal to minus 0.25 है, plus 0.25 plus 0.25 plus 56. Distance traveled must be equal to, from this point to this point, which I have broken down into two, from this point to this point and then from this point to this point. यहाँ से यहाँ का distance 6 है, यहाँ से यहाँ का distance 0.25 है, यहाँ से यहाँ का distance 0.25 है और यहाँ से यहाँ का distance 56 है. So the distance traveled by the particle must come out to be 62.5 meters. हाँ विनो, यही तो किया है ना मैंने. This is what I have done, right? dx by dt is 2t minus 5. When is v equal to 0? It is 0 at t is equal to 2.5. इसमें वेलोसिटी का क्या रोल था? वेलोसिटी का ये रोल था कि मेरे को ये मालूम था कि जहाँ पे वेलोसिटी 0 होएगी वो उस पार्टिकल का एक्सट्रीम पोजीशन होएगा, कि उस पॉइंट पे डायरेक्शन फ्लिप होएगी. ठीक है? हाँ. At what time between 5 and 10 seconds y cannot change direction? डायरेक्शन तभी चेंज करेगा जब उसकी वेलोसिटी 0 होएगी, और जो वेलोसिटी का एक्सप्रेशन आ रहा है उसका एक ही रूट है. इसका मतलब कि इसकी वेलोसिटी इसके लाइफ टाइम में केवल एक बार चेंज होएगी. ओके, मेथड 2. ये आया सबको समझ में? ये आया सबको समझ में ना? दिस इज ओके बाय any person not understanding, any student not understanding, please tell me now. I will repeat. This is called the brute force method. Okay, literally I have feeded the value of various t to get the value of various x, and then by measuring tape I have measured the distance traveled by the particle. ठीक है ना? हाँ, कौन सा लास्ट पार्ट? ये समझ में आया कि यहाँ पे वेलोसिटी 0 होएगा और x की वैल्यू माइनस 0.25 होएगी. व्हाट डिड यू ऐड? हाँ हाँ हाँ, ये मेरा डायग्राम कुछ गड़बड़ हो गया क्या? नहीं, सही है. मेरे को बताओ कि यहाँ से यहाँ की डिस्टेंस क्या होएगी? लेट मी ड्रॉ इट अगेन. Okay, this is the x-axis. The particle was here at t is equal to 0. This is x equal to 6. The particle is here at t is equal to 2, and the particle is here at t is equal to 2.5. So what is this distance? What is this distance? कितना distance है ये? ओए, लोगो हटा दे. हाँ, ये डिस्टेंस 6 मीटर्स होएगा. एवरीबडी एग्रीज विद दिस? भाई x इक्वल टू 6 से ओरिजिन का डिस्टेंस 6 होएगा. फिर ओरिजिन से लेके इसके टर्निंग पॉइंट का डिस्टेंस ये कितना होएगा? ओरिजिन से लेके टर्निंग पॉइंट का डिस्टेंस, ये कितना होएगा? ये आया समझ में? 0.25 होएगा। फिर उसके बाद से टर्निंग पॉइंट से वापस ओरिजिन जाने में कितना डिस्टेंस ट्रैवल करेगा? टर्निंग पॉइंट से ओरिजिन वापस जाने में कितना डिस्टेंस ट्रैवल करेगा? 0.25। है ना? अभी आया समझ में मैंने क्या ऐड किया है? 6 प्लस 0.25 प्लस 0.25, फिर ओरिजिन से 56 गया। हाँ ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं, वो समझ गया। दिस ग्राफ विल बी साइडवेज पैराबोला बट द डिस्टेंसेस कैलकुलेट वाज हॉरिजॉन्टल। नहीं, मैं ग्राफ नहीं बना रहा हूँ। आई एम नॉट मेकिंग अ ग्राफ, I am trying to visualize the motion of the particle. I am not making a graph of x versus t. If you draw a graph of x versus t, definitely you are going to get a parabola like this. But we are not drawing a graph. Okay? पार्टिकल ओरिजिन के पीछे क्यों जाएगा? क्योंकि ये कंटिन्यूसली चेंजिंग एक्स कोऑर्डिनेट है ना, ये कॉन्टिन्यूसली चेंजिंग एक्स कोऑर्डिनेट है ना, राइट वेदांत? एक्स कोऑर्डिनेट कंटिन्यूसली चेंज, हाँ बिकॉज ऑफ यू टर्न मैंने दोबारा ऐड किया, हाँ बिकॉज ऐसे जा रहा है ना, ऐसे दो बार इसलिए ऐड किया। हाँ तो कंटिन्यूसली चेंजिंग एक्स कोऑर्डिनेट है, तो t इज इक्वल टू 2 और t इज इक्वल टू 3 के बीच में ये कांस्टेंट नहीं रह सकता। इट इज a simple mathematical observation that if I put t is equal to 2 I get 0, t is equal to 3 is equal to I get x equal to 0, because 2 and 3 are the roots of this equation, of this quadratic. But 2.1 is not a root of this quadratic. 2.2 is not a root of this quadratic. So when I put 2.1, when I put 2.2, I am not going to get 0. And that is what tells me कि ये t is equal to 2 और t is equal to 3 के बीच में मूव करेगा, ऐसा नहीं कि वो रुक जाएगा वहां पे। ओके, मेथड 2। मेथड 2, मेथड 2। हाँ फास्टर आएंगे अभी। मेथड 2, x इज इक्वल टू टी स्क्वायर माइनस 5t प्लस 6, सो dx बाई dt इज इक्वल टू 2t माइनस 5, d2x by dt square is equal to 2. This is the velocity, this is the acceleration. Okay, I hope everybody is agreeing with me on this. 2t minus 5 का differentiation 2 होएगा. So I conclude that A is constant. And the moment I reach this conclusion, okay, the moment I reach this conclusion, I understand that I can use the equations of motion. I can use s is equal to ut plus half at square. I can use s is equal to u plus v. I can use s is equal to u plus v by 2 into t. I can use anything. So, I divide this motion into two parts. Divide into two parts. Okay, one is the part which is before the U-turn. Okay, and the other is after the U-turn. Why am I dividing? the motion into two parts. I am dividing the motion into two parts because if I do not, then S will give me the displacement. Okay, S will give me the displacement. It will not give me distance. Remember, S is equal to xf minus xi. अगर आप जो derivation अपन ने किया था, if you go there, you will find that S is equal to xf minus xi. So, for part 1, S is equal to ut plus half at square, right? And how to ये before U-turn or after U-turn कैसे कर रहे हैं? I know that at U-turn V is equal to 0. So T must be equal to 2.5. So for part 1, okay, U is equal to, यहाँ पे T is equal to 0 डालेंगे अपन, minus 3. A is equal to plus 2. T is equal to 2.5. And for part 2, I am using S is equal to ut plus half at square. You can use anything. Okay, you can use anything. S is equal to ut plus half at square. Okay. So U is equal to 0, A is equal to plus 2, and T, time, is equal to 7.5. एक मिनट, धीरे धीरे. If there is a variable in the value of A, still we can use this? No, we cannot. Okay? अगर यहाँ पे T आ जाता, 2T आ जाता, तो ये सब possible नहीं था. Why have you put U is equal to minus 3? U is the speed at time T is equal to 0. U is the value of V at T is equal to 0. Right? T is equal to 0 डालेंगे तो क्या आएगा? T is equal to 0 डालेंगे तो क्या आएगा? 2T minus 5 सर. अच्छा ये बोल रहा था क्या दिमाग नहीं काम कर रहा. Can you repeat part 1? हाँ, part 1 के लिए I am applying S is equal to ut plus half at square, where U is equal to minus 5. How did I get this U is equal to minus 5? I put T is equal to 0 here. Okay, I put T is equal to 0 at the expression for velocity. How did I get A is equal to plus 2? Double differentiated the equation. How did I get T is equal to 2.5? I know that at T is equal to 2.5 the U-turn occurs. For part 2, I am assuming that the beginning of motion is here or here. I know that the velocity here is 0. So I put U is equal to 0. I put A is equal to 2 because A to constant hai. And I put T is equal to 7.5 because that is the time now remaining. 10 सेकेंड में 2.5 सेकेंड्स के लिए पीछे आया है और 7.5 सेकेंड्स के लिए आगे जाएगा. आया समझ में? Now the question of course that should be bothering you is that ये क्या चल क्या रहा है, ये क्या जरूरी है? And the answer is no. The answer is no. This is necessary in this question because there is a U-turn at T is equal to 2.5 for this guy, for this particle. And the question states find the distance traveled in the first 10 seconds. हाँ, उसका केवल मैग्नीट्यूड लेना है क्योंकि ये डिस्प्लेसमेंट देता है ना. तो माइनस साइन अगर आ रहा है तो माइनस को प्लस करना है, बिकॉज ये डिस्प्लेसमेंट दे रहा है। अगर आप ये जो माइनस आएगा यहाँ पे एस और यहाँ पे प्लस आएगा, दोनों को ऐड कर दोगे, वापस से डिस्प्लेसमेंट आ जाएगा, राइट। सो 6.25 आएगा इसके लिए और इसके लिए 56.25 आएगा, दोनों को ऐड कर देना है, एंड दैट विल गिव यू द डिस्टेंस। सो इन दिस क्वेश्चन the thing being asked is between 0 and 10 seconds, and this tells me that there is a U-turn happening at t is equal to 2.5, and therefore I divide the question into two parts. Can I divide it into three parts? Yes, that is also possible. Okay, that is also possible. लेकिन उसके लिए इसके दो रूट्स होने चाहिए। अगर ये क्वाड्रेटिक है तो ये क्यूबिक होना चाहिए, और अगर ये क्वाड्रेटिक है तो यहां पे कभी नंबर नहीं आएगा। यहां पे अगर ये क्वाड्रेटिक है तो यहां पे t आएगा। सो यू कांट डू इट लाइक दिस, बट यस देयर कैन बी थ्री पार्ट्स एज वेल। सो यू हैव टू फॉल बैक ऑन दिस मेथड। यू लिटरली हैव टू वर्क आउट, अगर वेलोसिटी क्वाड्रेटिक आ रहा है तो यू हैव टू वर्क आउट ये वेलोसिटी जीरो किन दो पॉइंट्स पे। अगर वो दोनों पॉइंट्स आपको मिल गए तो इसका मतलब कि दोनों पॉइंट्स पे वेलोसिटी पार्टिकल की चेंज हो रही है। कैन वी फाइंड यू टर्न बाय फाइंडिंग रूट्स ऑफ इक्वेशन? नो वी कैनॉट, नो वी कैनॉट। इफ द क्यू हैड बीन इन फर्स्ट 2 seconds एंड डायरेक्टली एस इज इक्वल टू डिस्टेंस। हाँ, अगर क्वेश्चन में बोलते कि फाइंड द डिस्टेंस ट्रेवल्ड इन 2 seconds, तब कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, बिकॉज यू टर्न 2.5 पे हो रहा है। फर्स्ट 2 seconds में ये स्ट्रेट लाइन मोशन है। क्यूबिक होगा तो 2 टर्न्स होंगे क्या? पॉसिबल है, पॉसिबल है। ओके, अगर ये हमारे पास क्वाड्रेटिक आया और उसका एक रूट पॉजिटिव है एक रूट नेगेटिव है, इसका मतलब एक ही टर्न हुआ। लेकिन अगर दोनों रूट पॉजिटिव हैं तो 2 टर्न हुए। देन जर्क विल बी ए कांस्टेंट। बैक, we will not talk about jerk. Okay, for those of you who do not know, Sadhguru is talking about jerk. अब jerk के 2-3 मीनिंग होते हैं, लेकिन फिजिक्स में d3x by dt cubed is jerk, is called jerk, but we will not discuss that, okay, because it is useless. So we just need to differentiate and check at what time will velocity be 0, and at that point will be the turning point. Yes, absolutely right. Yes. Can we find U-turn by b upon 2a? मेरे को मतलब ही नहीं समझ में आया तो क्या बोल रहा है। हम डिफरेंशिएट करेंगे, 0 पुट करेंगे, हमें टर्निंग पॉइंट मिल जाएगा। Is this clear to everyone? हाँ, वो मैं समझ गया था। ओके, ठीक है। तो these are the two methods, okay? Please keep in mind when solving. If you get an equation like this, डबल डिफरेंशिएट, अगर क्वाड्रेटिक है टाइम का तो आपको मालूम है एक्सेलरेशन कांस्टेंट है, यू कैन फॉल बैक ऑन इक्वेशंस ऑफ मोशन। अगर ये क्वाड्रेटिक नहीं है, अगर ये क्यूबिक है, देन यू हैव टू डू इट लाइक दिस। ये जो मैंने यहाँ पे जो किया, ठीक है ना? ओके, सो दिस कंप्लीट्स आवर लेक्चर 3। ओके, नेक्स्ट क्लास में मोशन अंडर ग्रेविटी, lecture 4. Motion under gravity is the same thing, nothing different. S is equal to ut plus half at square and v is equal to u plus at, but now in the presence of gravity. Okay, third method के बारे में अभी आप चिंता मत करिए, third method बाद में आएगा। Here also we are getting 2 roots positive, but here we are getting only 1 term. किसकी बात कर रहा है? वेलोसिटी की मैं बात कर रहा हूँ। वेलोसिटी 0 जब होएगा तब यू टर्न होता है। अगर वेलोसिटी लीनियर है तो वेलोसिटी 0 एक बार होएगी, अगर वेलोसिटी का इक्वेशन क्वाड्रेटिक है तो पॉसिबली 2 बार हो सकता है। चलो, सो आई विल लीव दिस ऑन द बोर्ड, मेक द नोट्स प्रॉपरली बिकॉज दे आर गोइंग टू बी चेक्ड। अभी मैं कल या परसों जो नोट्स वाला है वो आई विल post the result of the homework. Very few of you have submitted. I don't know why. I think out of however many students are there, only 20 or 25 have submitted. So you will have to give an explanation, those who have not submitted, to me and to your parents, कि आपने क्यों नहीं किया. Okay? मैं फिर से explain कर रहा हूँ. One homework was given, which was the class work of last to last week. One homework was given, which is the class work of last week. Every Friday you have to submit the class work of that week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Apart from this, Tuesday night, that means tomorrow night, you have to do lecture 3, tutorial 1, level 1, right? There are around 13 or 14 questions. By Saturday, you have to do lecture 3, tutorial 1, level 2. Okay? Doubts जो भी हैं आप अभ्यास सेशन में पूछोगे या मेरे को व्हाट्सएप पे पूछोगे या मेरे को कॉल करके पूछोगे, जैसे भी. आपके पास दिनेश सर का नंबर है, आपके पास मेरा नंबर है, आपके पास अमन सर का नंबर है, आपके पास सुमित सर का नंबर है. ऑल द टीचर्स आर अवेलेबल फॉर यू टू आस्क द डाउट्स. ओके, ठीक है ना. मेरे को कॉल कभी भी कर सकते हो. अगर मैं ड्राइव कर रहा हूँ या मैं क्लास ले रहा हूँ तो मैं उठा नहीं पाऊँगा. सो यू कैन कॉल अगेन, राइट. बट 4 टीचर्स आर देयर एट योर डिस्पोजल. दिनेश सर का नंबर नहीं है क्या? ऐसा कैसे हो सकता है? लिखो दिनेश सर का नंबर 7666 सबसे आसान है याद करने का. वही एक नंबर है जो मुझे याद रहता है, 7666663460. ये दिनेश सर का नंबर है. अरे उससे क्या फर्क पड़ता है? दिनेश सर डज नॉट टीच अस. अमन सर का है, सुमित सर का है, दिनेश सर का नंबर है. प्लीज फील फ्री टू कॉल एनीवन. ओके, एनीवन. आपको अपना डाउट क्लियर करना है, दैट्स इट. एक्सेलरेशन वेरिएबल का केस हम बाद में पढ़ेंगे, अभी नहीं. सो वंस अगेन, टुमारो इवनिंग, by tomorrow evening, tomorrow night, you have to submit lecture 3, tutorial 1, level 1. By Saturday evening, you have to submit lecture 3, tutorial 1, level 2. अबे आवाज मेरी आ रही है? बट आवाज आ रही है ना मेरी? अबे तूने कुछ किया है क्या वहाँ? हाँ. So by Tuesday you have to submit lecture 3, tutorial 1, level 1. By Saturday, lecture 3, tutorial 1, level 2. Friday evening, the notes that you have made on today, Monday, Wednesday and Friday. And any other homework that I give. Lecture 3, tutorial level 2 is on Friday. नहीं, Saturday है मेरे ख्याल से. Saturday है, देखना. सब ऐप पे सबमिट करना है. डेट इज गिवन एज 10th. ठीक है, 10th को कर देना. 10th इज फ्राइडे. ठीक है, I'll change the date. 11th कर देना. चलो, ओके. सो I'll leave this board for 5 minutes and we'll continue in the next class. चलो, बाय बाय.